time for tea talk.
Lovely.
And today we're talking about a walk we did a couple of weeks ago, aren't we? Which was down, because work took us down to that there south of England, near, is it Rickmansworth?
Rickmansworth, yeah.
To see a customer.
Beaconsfield.
So we travelled the day before the actual meeting, because the meeting was at, was it half
Thank
eight?
you. Yeah.
8:30 on a
Friday.
Friday.
And it was
Cheers.
cheers. It was end of school, wasn't it? It was
Crikey,
set
that
to
long ago.
be the busiest.
And here we are at
Travel.
middle of August.
But it was it felt like a stolen moment, really, because we made really good time, didn't we, going down?
We did, yeah.
Absolutely.
So we had in mind that we might get a chance to do a walk, didn't we? But in fairness, like you say, we arrived far earlier than we thought we would. And you'd cleverly picked out a walk from the actual pub we were staying in, hadn't you? Which was the
Bedford Arms.
Bedford Arms in
Chenies.
Chenies. Sounds like a chain of gyms.
Chenies.
Chenies.
Okay.
Or hotels or something like that.
But yeah, right in the Chilterns, near Little Chalfont.
But was it picked for that, or was it picked that it was 20 minutes in the morning to the customer?
And going in the good direction as far as
Yeah.
traffic was concerned, yeah. And not, with these other places where we don't tend to stay now, so no names being mentioned.
Absolutely. So for us now, it's all about cleanliness of hotels. Anyway, we digress. So that was great. Able to park.
Popped in and said,
Yeah.
we're here.
But
can
let's
we check
just say
in?
they gave us every indication they were more than happy for that before we even started explaining that we were staying there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's perhaps somewhere, pardon me, somewhere that someone could actually stay.
And it must have been just after a late lunchtime, wasn't it, when we actually arrived, because the place was packed and everybody outside and the sun
But let's be
shining.
fair, it was a gorgeous day, wasn't it?
God,
Can you remember
well.
I passed comment to that guy who was walking with his flip-flops on and says, "Oh, it sounds, does it sounds warm, or it sounds like summer?"
Yes,
when you hear people in thongs or flip-flops, whatever you want to call them.
I know. But it absolutely, we got out of the car, didn't we? Poof.
Again, I put my
Absolutely hit
bandana
us.
straight on.
Yeah.
So the walk that you'd earmarked was actually, let's have a look. It's called the Chess Valley Walk. A little over 5 miles, and it basically starts and finishes, well, for us, at the pub.
Yeah, the official start finish was at Little Chalfont, but yeah, absolutely, we could build in that we.
Absolutely. So it worked perfectly for us, didn't it? I mean, we had a bit of a false start, which was down to my infamous navigation skills, but it didn't cause too much upset, other than there was nothing, that I was expecting to see that I actually saw.
I know.
But again, same old issue. If I'd for 1 second I'd have thought, hang on, are we going east, west, north or south here? I would have known if we were going in the wrong direction.
We went through Chenies, we saw those amazing chimney stacks, another
did.
pub along there, the Red Lion, with people enjoying lunch. So it was a nice.
Do you remember what was
insight.
quirky about the Red Line? All the outdoor seating was across the road.
Over the road, yeah. And it was quite a busy road. It was a narrow road. And,
It was like on the verge,
and they were
wasn't it?
all, everybody was.
I thought that was odd. I'm sure nobody there did. So the diversion that we took, are we calling that diversion?
Diversion, yes.
Diversion.
Yeah.
Took us past, it took us onto the main road, so we went past the garden centre, and when we went past the driveway to Chenies Manor, I think that's when I actually realised I'd taken us wrong.
I mean, I must admit, by then I'd sort of got my inner sat-nav going, and I thought, I feel like we need to be going right here. But then we were treated to a lovely walk.
Oh, it was
down.
tree-lined drive, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Were there lime trees?
So I think there were, actually. Maybe there were, I don't know, but they smelled gorgeous wherever they were.
But it was, wasn't it? So
It was
how long was it? 300 yards? 400 yards?
Yeah.
But it was a lovely long drive down. There was parkland before the actual house.
Got to the main house.
Didn't actually see an awful lot of the house because we went straight off, but there was, I think you see it now an awful lot. They'd made use of some of the outbuildings, hadn't they?
Yeah, the steading area had been converted into like a small business park. There was a little gym there.
There was, yeah. It wasn't industrial units, was it? It was offices.
Yeah, exactly.
I know
which
they've done
is-
it up at Castle Howard. It's actually not on the estate, but there's ones down the road
Yeah.
that were obviously part of the estate donkeys years ago, and they've certainly made it into a
So,
little business park.
and it was so handy because was that the A404? It was just such
You know, I
a
don't know.
accessible spot. Yeah, nice little place to base your business.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But then, as we got to that corner, the business park on the right, we took a left, didn't we? And
Yeah,
then
through
we
the
were onto the walk.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And it wasn't long before we got our first view of the Chilterns. If you can remember, we came out of that little wooded area, and there was just that small gap, because then there was tree lined again, wasn't
Yeah.
it? But yeah, just sat there, just framed, lovely. First view, it was
sort
gorgeous.
And the picturesque and very genteel countryside of southern England, sort of, that's what smacked me. We go up on the moors here and wow,
Yeah, absolutely.
it hits you in the face.
There was
but-
something different, wasn't there? I
Yeah, it
wouldn't be able
was.
to describe what it was.
No, it was just so,
Soft.
roly. You could just imagine Jane Austen and her pals, So it was a lovely little view, a vista that we were treated to.
And then, I'm not saying it was the highlight of my day, but it was certainly a new experience for me, because not very much long after that, 100 yards or so, we came across a foal. I think was the first... Was that the first thing that caught our
That's
eye?
what, alerted us to them.
Because
Because there was a bit of a thicket as well. The foliage was quite thick until we
it was,
got
but there was
through.
a couple of good-sized trees in a very sun-drenched field that these foals, and then we saw mares. We think they were in foal as well, didn't we?
Yeah,
Because the
there was a
foals we saw were they tiny? I couldn't decide. I couldn't decide if the
were.
mares, if the foals were from this year, because I don't know anything about horses. But the one thing I do know is that one of the horse was, I think, did you say now that it had albinism?
Yeah, I think it.
Which is incredible, so white and, pink
its
eyes.
and I know.
Uh,
And so friendly, all of
yeah.
them, the whole bunch of them. They were obviously so.
and I thought what was
used to-
funny, there was it wasn't long after we'd left there that we noticed a couple of women walking behind us. It must have been their regular walk, because although we'd stopped for 10 minutes with the horses, they just walked straight past.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they obviously see them all the time.
But then horses very much became the tenor of the piece. And it was obviously a very horsey valley. There was a
Yeah.
lot of equestrian activity
Yeah, there
as
was,
we went
wasn't there?
round. But no, they were lovely. And yes, you enjoyed that, didn't you?
Yeah, no, it was,
It is.
let's be fair, it's all about, new experiences and seeing things for the first time. And yeah, it was great.
Absolutely. And then from there we walked through, which was welcome because it was stiflingly hot, Walk Wood, which tickled me.
Right, yeah, I
So we
remember that.
walked through many paths in there, but we did manage to keep
It would have been very easy to go wrong in there.
Chess Valley Walk. We did. And then we made a choice to go up the little lane. The ladies behind us went round
That's
the other
right,
way,
yeah.
and we went across that new
Yeah.
walkway, new field,
Yeah.
and that was running along the back of, I presume, Little Chalfont. And there we made a decision, didn't we, not to go in to Little Chalfont.
Yeah, I don't think that would have added anything to our day.
No, not at all. So easy to do though. We picked up another public footpath
Yeah.
down a lovely bit of a decline, and it was there we got the first real view, I thought, of the Chess Valley itself.
Yeah,
below.
I remember coming out of the wood, through the gate, some, wide open spaces, and, I thought that was lovely. I thought it was, again, this, as you mentioned earlier, it was just so different for me. I think I mentioned I wouldn't know where we were.
If you'd
I'd
have been dropped there,
if
in
I'd have been
that
dropped and
survivor or whatever.
yeah, blindfolded, and where do you think
Yeah.
you are? I would have had said, I've absolutely no idea. I've never seen this,
Yeah,
topography at all. So that was interesting for me. And we didn't carry on much longer before we came across Latimer House.
Well, yes. We saw the cascade, and then up on the other hill, yeah, Latimer House.
'Cause I
Now
thought-
a renowned hotel.
Yeah, but I at the time we didn't know that, did we? I thought it was actually a stately home. You know, at the time, unless you knew it was a hotel.
No, not at all. No, not till.
No, I assumed it was a stately home.
Yeah, I did.
Because it was on the map as Latimer House.
Yes,
and like you
still
say,
looked
the
like
cascade was very different for me. And the stream was absolutely, crystal clear, wasn't it? Was it a chalk stream?
Yeah, although that's what the River Chess is, absolutely.
Oh, right,
And
okay.
The depth of it got me. Really was. Deep, clear, running.
Beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. And there, again, several choices there to be made, but sticking true to the Chess Valley Walk, we turned right to follow the River Chess then, didn't we?
We did. Which was nice for me because, again, it was nice and wide. It was so quiet. It was hardly moving. It was almost like a lake.
And at one point, I thought it was like being on a canal. I felt like the water was actually higher than us. We were walking in a sort of...
Yeah. I mean, there is a bit more about this water, isn't there? Which, a couple of things come up. But I tell you what, I can remember we saw what we thought was a strange animal to start with on one of the, should we call it a fence post?
Yeah.
Someone had left a gong. Was it a reindeer?
It had a bit of tinsel on it, and
But you could see it had been there a good while, and obviously no one had touched it, or they just,
No, because it had gone a sun-bleached colour.
That's right,
It changed colour. You could, it was a cute little thing.
And then it wasn't many more steps before we found, again, on another fence post, and I think we stood there for a couple of minutes. I took a photo right up to their nose, and it was a cricket. Again, I wasn't sure at the time. Grasshopper, cricket, don't know the difference. But I have done which we often do, don't we?
Yeah,
we often do a bit of research after the event.
It stimulates a little bit of learning.
But I would say, I'm just trying to imagine it now, I would say it was 3 inches long.
Really?
Oh, it was massive. For what we see, when we're normally out walking.
They're usually about the size of your thumbnail round. Crickets.
Well, an inch long maybe.
Yeah, okay.
This thing was massive. But as far as,
and it
crickets
just stood
go.
there, didn't it?
Didn't move.
Oh, obviously. Do they like to warm up?
I'm guessing so. Yeah, we sat there, as happy as Larry.
It was not fazed by us at all, staring at it, taking pictures of it.
And then my first disappointment of the walk was I'd earmarked it on the route that there was a church ruins.
Church ruins of,
And it was just inside that nature reserve, wasn't it?
Yeah, we started to get to Frogmore Bottom, yeah.
But getting there was going to be impossible because, we tried, and before very, not many steps, we were ankle deep.
We'd gone
and it was water, it wasn't mud, it was just water, it was flooded, wasn't it?
It was, obviously just retaining the water, wasn't it? We'd gone through the gate, and it wasn't boardwalks, it was pallets, which was helpful, otherwise that would have been impossible. That was muddy, and we tootled along a little bit further, and sort of went ahead of me, and I thought, oh, and you started to get a little wet, didn't you? And I tried to take a different route, but we should have gone all.
I always like to test the area, test the ground.
Well, I just follow regardless. But when I look back, I don't know if you did, there was a clear route that the locals took.
Was there?
Taking much higher ground all the way around. But yeah, it went over my boots. I did get ankle wet. But it was a really hot day. It dried in no time at all, didn't it?
And then I think, because every day's a school day, isn't it? Again, we didn't go much further, and we came across that. It was when we crossed the road, wasn't it? I don't know what the road was or where it was going, but across a short road, and we saw a plaque. And again, I think we read every word on that plaque, and it talked about the practice of floating the meadows.
Which I still don't really understand, but it was fascinating.
It was fascinating. So essentially, all manner of channels, sluices, not to irrigate the meadow, to flood the meadow.
And to extend its productivity.
Absolutely. So proper silt, like the Nile. Let's be fair. That's what the Nile does.
A delta type.
But it was controlled. They could have drained it at any time they wanted.
And now it is drained essentially, but obviously it's still got a propensity to hold its.
Hence why we've come across all that water we've come across before.
I'm fascinated by that.
No, it was great. And then we had to go along the road for a short while, didn't we? But then we were treated because we came off the road past that little stables, not to give the identity away too much. And there was we think it was a Victoria plum tree, don't we? Now, the plum we tested for quality.
What's this we?
I tested for quality, was actually overhanging. So I would say that was in the public domain.
Okay.
I didn't steal a plum at all. It was overhanging, so I just helped it.
You weren't
helped it on
scrumping,
its
if
way.
that applies to plums. And I must admit, I did have a little taste, and
Oh, it was
why
gorgeous.
would I was
Gorgeous.
seriously jealous of
It's
a
the
plum
warmth,
tree.
sweetness,
Yeah.
just everything beautiful.
But
And then more
do you-
flooding.
Can I just take you back? Actually, I think at that point you were flagging a little, and you said, "Oh gosh, I'm getting hungry here with the heat
You're right.
and manna from heaven."
Oh, of course, I do remember.
Yeah. And then there you were, treated to a beautiful, ripe Victoria.
No, you're quite right. Well remembered. And as I say, I'm saying more flooded because I remember again that it was your turn to be not flagging but unsure, because there was, was it Frogmore Meadow?
We're deep into the heart of the Frogmore Meadow Nature Reserve. There were lots of installation boards around telling you
wasn't
stuff,
there?
but we couldn't get to some of them because
No,
they
I know.
were, flooded, weren't they?
Yeah, kingfishers was, again, as ever, I would love to see a kingfisher. But when we were walking through there was, I don't know, let me have a think, probably 10 yards of logs that were thrown into the bog to help you get across.
Yeah.
And you had to walk across them, which
But they were small tree trunks, so they were circular, so they were rolling, and
so
it
you had
was
to
that.
walk. You had to kind of walk across them, not straight at them.
And I was, probably a little bit dehydrated, so I was a bit dizzy. My balance was not brilliant. So yeah, I did have a moment there, didn't I? So yeah.
Look, it was hot. Again, tired. Even though it wasn't a long walk, but it was so hot. We'd had a 6-hour drive, for goodness sake.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you have to have your wits about you, don't you?
I got over it, didn't I? Muddy boots, muddy trousers, but got to the other side.
Now, did you know we were going to pass this next point of interest?
No.
It's
No,
just
it didn't have the level of research around it.
But do I remember you mentioning something about the area and when we'd seen the water?
But only because I'd seen the chalk stream.
Right.
And the way that it, I said, oh, it'd be a great...
That was it. It would be a great place for...
to grow
watercress. Because we came across a watercress farm.
Yeah.
You don't get to see much of the farm, but the way the water was flowing from that concrete kind of...
It's classed as a ford.
Is it? Well, I suppose it is, but it's quite a deep ford.
Yeah, okay. Look.
We walk across some fords, don't we?
Yeah, ford, it says ford and footbridge, but
it was a footbridge, but it was almost like a concrete sidewalk, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was
Pavement.
almost a sluice, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
But went across there. But I'd just say, you can imagine that the watercress farm, the clearest water, in there, because we've seen natural watercress, and I'm led to believe it is a good indication of clear water.
But they say don't eat that out in the wild because obviously it's run off the fields and this, that, and the other. But there was, I wouldn't say it was security, but it, like you say, it was behind closed doors, wasn't it? There was quite a bit of watercress in the chalk stream near the footbridge, wasn't it? You could see it growing there. So yeah,
no, absolutely
fascinating to see. Absolutely.
Now, this is where I get a bit confused on where we were, because my next point of interest is the field that we actually found a plant I never thought, and I can remember distinctly, I thought for ages it was thistles. I said, well, they're thistles, aren't they? And then because it was a huge field, a proper arable field.
Miles, basically,
yeah,
as far as the eye could see.
With the top of it, a lovely soft purple, kind of covering. And then we got closer and closer, it was like, they're not thistles at all. And I found out later that they are, I can't remember now.
Lacy Phacelia.
I'm glad you said that.
And what was it? Something neck?
I can't remember.
The sort of colloquial name for them.
Can't remember. But we found out that it's grown like that possibly for its seed. So we don't know if it was actually a seed,
A seed
farm
farm, but it was
that we were next to, but you know, we'll probably never know. But that farm was basically then at the end of a long tarmac track that took us back into
Chenies.
Chenies.
Yeah.
So
And then we saw the other entrance to the other side of Chenies Manor, where we should have gone,
of course we did,
walked
yeah.
down the drive
Yeah.
to pick up the route proper.
But I mean, it was a short walk for us, but when we've talked about it here, it was packed with,
It was.
you know, points of interest and things new to us. Different area, different, well,
Terrain, for want of
different terrain.
for want of a better
Yeah,
word.
no, it was completely different. I really enjoyed it, and you know, all the time when we were looking for walks, it's a case of we want to see something new. Well, I saw half a dozen different new things. Some of them not, you know, just because of the walk, but the horses, the cricket, that meadow flooding, you know, so much. I mean, I was entertained by some buzzards. I can remember you took a call. You know, I was watching buzzards for 5
Really?
minutes when we came back into the village. Okay. You know, they were very close to the village. You know, which I thought was unusual. You know, up north, you know, we're actually out in the country when we see buzzards
Yeah,
flying around
absolutely.
like that. So, no, I thought it was fantastic. Really enjoyed it. Opportune.
Definitely, and that, as I say, it feels like a stolen moment.
Yeah.
And to go to the Chilterns.
Yeah, no, great.
Absolutely.
Really enjoyed it.